Hey guys, it's mid-December 2015 here in Galveston, Texas. I have my 97 Powerstroke 7.3 liter here. It's been giving me problems for a while, not wanting to start. I've known it was the glow plugs. If I plug it in, it starts fine. If it's a warm day, it starts fine. But I have a feeling all 8 of my glow plugs are bad. It's been a long time since they've been replaced. As you can imagine, here on the coast in Galveston, it doesn't get cold very often, but I went down into South Texas to do some hunting over Thanksgiving, and truck definitely had some issues. It was a lot colder down there. So I'm going to go and change it out now that I have some time. It's not that big of a project as long as you don't run into issues. If you run into problems, there's some tricks you can use. But if you're like me, you really don't got a lot of money, so you got to do it yourself. So I'm going to be doing it myself. I bought all the parts already off the internet. They were a lot cheaper that way. I'll go through here in a minute and show you the parts that I got. Hopefully this answers any questions you have, and hopefully it helps you guys feel like you can do it yourself and save yourself some money. All right, so what do you want? Go chase a squirrel. Okay, a couple of parts I got Autolite glow plugs here. I'm going to go ahead and change out my relay as well for my glow plugs. Some anti-seize, very important to put on the threads. And then dielectric grease or spark plug grease. And also I went ahead and bought my wiring harnesses as well. I'm going to replace the wiring harnesses. They are reusable on the vehicle, but I don't trust that. I'm going to go ahead and do it myself and put a new one on as opposed to hoping the old one's okay. I got all of this stuff with the exception of the grease off eBay. It's a lot cheaper that way. Instead of, you know, $300, $400, $500 up to $700 in parts, it was just $200 for everything. Wiring harnesses, grease, relay, everything. So it was a lot cheaper that way. Like I said, it's a 97 Powerstroke F250. So here we go. Alright, so I just took the cover off of this for the intake, for the air. Gives me access to my panel here. I'm going to take off a couple of these hoses, but it's not really necessary. But that's what I'm going to be doing next. Alright, I am loosening this hose clamp because this bracket is holding this piece on here, and I'm going to need to take all of this off. So by loosening this bracket, or this hose clamp, I should be able to pull off this piece and this piece all at once and get that out of the way. I've removed this line here from right here. So the hose clamp is still on it right back here. I have it tucked away. I'm gonna see if I can get away with not taking this off. This is my bundle of all my wiring. If I have to, I can unplug it from right down here. But I'm going to see if I can get away with not doing that. I'm trying to take off as little as possible. We'll see how that goes. Alright, I took the 2 bolts out here, or at least the nuts off. So this bracket is free, okay? So once I take the head off, this whole thing will hopefully pop off here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out all of the bolts that are holding the cover on, all the way around. Some of them are hard to get to way back in here in the back. You just use a wiggler. I have a 13 millimeter socket that I'm using with a wiggler on it and an extension. These were kind of hard to break loose here, but the rest so far broke loose, and it was pretty easy to do. So that's what I'm doing next, is taking all of these out. If for some odd reason this won't come off with this, I'm going to disconnect it up here closer to the turbo. But for now, I just have it loosened here and taken apart here, where it'll all come out, you know, at one time, I hope. So I ended up taking my intake hose off the turbo right here to get to one freaking hidden bolt down here that I can't get to. This is now free, so I moved it out of the way. I can now get to this bolt, and that'll be the last one, and I'll go ahead and pull the whole cover off. Alright, so I just got my cover off. It's sitting right here. Hello, Wilhelm. It's sitting right here. Got all my bolts out. All the bolts came out relatively easy. this is what the inside of it looks like now that it's been taken off. Looks pretty good. I'm actually impressed with how good it looks. Now, first thing I want to show you guys, this is where your glow plug is. The red wire right here goes to a glow plug. There's one there. There's going to be one over here as well. Sorry I don't have better lighting for you guys, but that's what you're going to need to get to. That's where your actual glow plug is. Right here is the wiring harness. Okay, snaps in right here and right here. These are reusable wiring harnesses, but I've always said if you're already in there and you're going to be doing work, put in new ones. It's just a smart thing to do. Put in the new ones. They aren't that expensive. I got them off eBay. If you search a little bit ahead of time, you can get amazing deals on these parts. Oh, dingy. All right. So I'm going to end up taking these off as well. These wiring harnesses, unplug them, take them off. Now, speaking of that, I went ahead and disconnected the ground off of both of my batteries. All right. Just as a safety precaution. I've heard you can do it. I've heard you don't need to do it. Whatever. I did it just to be safe. So that's done. But that's going to be what's next. I'm going to pull these wiring harnesses off. And then you pull this little plug off. And that's how we're going to get to the glow plugs. But we'll do that here in a moment. So first thing will be these wiring harnesses here. Alright, so I mentioned a second ago, you pull this wire off. And that's what goes to your glow plug. Okay, right here. Then there's another one here and here, here. Something else though, you have to disconnect these clips right here and pull this part off as well. This part will come off with your wiring harness right here. You just disconnect your wiring harness in these two spots. Disconnect all of your glow plugs, okay? And then that's how you'll pull your wiring harness off, but you have to clip these off too. If you'll notice, the new ones have all those clips on them right here. All of that stuff needs to come out all together. Alright guys, so I got the cover off. I got pulled the wiring harness off. Wiring harness is all free now. I'm just now to the point where I'm going to pull the glow plugs out. Here's where most people run into their problems. You can have a glow plug be stuck in there. They can break in there. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. I'm crossing my fingers that everything goes okay, but I have some pretty crappy luck, so we'll see what happens. I have a 10mm socket, which is what I'm going to be using. I'm using a small ratchet so I don't put too much power on this, but I may need to step up once I go. As you can feel, it sets in there real nice and easy. All I'm going to do is break it loose and turn it a couple of times with the socket, and then I'm going to pull the ratchet off, and I have a piece of vacuum hose here. Now what I'm going to do is this actually will fit over nice and tight over the end of that glow plug, and I will put it on there and unscrew it and get it out. And that helps us from dropping it in there, losing it, getting stuck, anything like that. It's a great little trick. I learned it from somebody else. So that's what I'll be doing. So I'm going to go ahead and start pulling these out and using this if I need to get them out all the way. Alright guys, so I just got my first glow plug out. As I said earlier, I loosened it up with the ratchet. Once I got it loose enough, I just stuck this piece of vacuum hose right over the end of it here, and it fits nice and snug, and it's screwed right on out. As you can see, it's nice and oily. That's a good thing. The end here looks, if it'll focus, it looks pretty crappy. So it's a good thing that I've decided I'm going to go ahead and change it out. Just to show you guys, here is a new one versus an old one. Threads are all the same, everything's the same. This one's just nice and pretty, but it won't stay that way for long. Now one thing I am going to do is I'm going to put anti-seize here on these threads when I go to put it back in. That way if I ever need to in the future, I know it'll come out a lot easier. I used to restore military vehicles, and anti-seize came in very handy a lot of times when we were restoring those military vehicles. So I figured there's no reason why I shouldn't be using it on these parts as well, so I'm just going to put it right here on the threads before I put it back in there. As far as putting it back in, same issue. I can just put the vacuum hose right over the top of it right here, and then I'll put it in the hole and I'll screw it in, you know, as much as it'll go with that vacuum hose, pop it off, put the socket on, tighten it up nice and snug in there, and then that's done. Alright guys, so problem that can happen, and I didn't run into it yet, but I might, is your glow plug can be stuck down inside the engine. It may not come out. You can screw on it and just the top will twist and the bottom will stay stuck in. It can actually come apart. It can happen. If that's the case, one little trick you can do to get it out is take a pair of these vice grips and you clamp on as tight as you can to the top part that's sticking out. You know, this part's sticking out of the top. You can grab onto this if you need to. There's just enough room. So get in there and clamp onto that thing as tight as you can, alright? Then just take you a ball peen hammer, take you a hammer, and just tap down just a little bit. You tap down and then pull it back up, tap it down, pull it back up, and you only need to go a little bit at a time. But eventually you'll sit there and work it free so it'll pull right out. It's a great trick to use. It'll save you some time. It'll save you some money. Then again, you may not have to run into it. So far, I've done the entire driver's side. I haven't ran into that problem. I guess I'm lucky. Maybe on the other side I will. Hopefully not. But it is another trick you can use. I learned this from somebody else. Another one of these tricks that gets passed down. It works really well. So just keep that in mind. If you have a glow plug that's stuck in there, it comes apart, and this bottom part, this outside part will screw off and come out with the head on it, but this part will not. Just grip onto it. Just tap it down, pull it up, tap it down, pull it up. It'll save you. Okay guys, so that's a brand new spark plug right there. It's installed. Like I said, I used a vacuum hose and then I tightened it up with the socket. I don't have any on there yet, but before I put the new harness on and the boot on, I'll put a little tiny bit of dielectric grease on the tip of it before I put it on there. It's not on there yet because I still have to do the other spark plugs along the way. I did put the anti-seize on the threads. Everything's good to go, so on to the rest of them. I'm done. I have all 4 spark plugs, or I'm sorry, glow plugs replaced in there. I have dielectric grease on the tips of all the ends of them. A great way to get in there and do it, I just use a Q-tip right here. Put a little bit on the end of the Q-tip, stick it right down in there. Put a little bit of dielectric grease on the end. This will just help in the future if you need to pull these boots off. Some people say don't do it. You know, as long as you don't put too much, I don't see the problem with doing it. We have in the past had no issues. So next thing is going to be putting on this wiring harness. There is a right and a wrong way to put it on, so you need to make sure you're looking and have this little tab you want to have sticking up. You want to have everything that holds it down. You can actually just check with the old one, make sure it's lined up the exact same way when you pull it off, and that's how you know that it's the right way to go. So that's what I'm going to do now is put this on. I'm going to go ahead real quick. I'm going to take a rag and I'm going to clean the surface where this thing goes all the way around real good. Make sure I have no dirt on it. Make sure it's nice and clean before I put that back on. Now I'm also going to clean the cover as well. But I'm done in here as far as glow plugs go. I just need to put the wiring harness on, hook up the connectors to the back of the glow plugs, then put the cover back on. Several steps to do that. So that's what I'm going to be doing next. Okay guys, I got the wiring harness hooked up and I got each of my wires on my glow plugs. Alright, now the next thing, a good way to get them on there, they're kind of hard to push down in there. I got these little freaking leprechaun hands that'll fit down in there pretty easily. Some of you manly men that have big freaking hands may not be able to get them in there. I use a wooden dowel and I can just push them down in there. You grab right here on the back of the boot right there and you can just push them down on there until they're on there real solid. It works really well. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is just clipping all of these in. All 4 of them, they go right here where we took them off earlier. After those 4 are all clipped in, I've already cleaned up the edge of this. Before I put the gasket on, I can go and put the head or the cover back on, put all my bolts on, start assembling everything back up, and I'll be done with this side of the engine. I ran out of light. It gets dark pretty quick. I got the cover back on. I hooked up everything that I'd taken off. This bracket, this vacuum hose got put back on. I hooked up the intake here. I never took off the crankcase breather right here on top just because I was afraid of messing up the O-rings underneath. But I could have if I needed to. There's just 2 Phillips head screws right here that you take off, and this will pop off for this whole hose bracket to come out for the intake. I didn't do it. I was able to get around it. I tightened everything up all around. I'm essentially done with this side, with the exception of putting my air system back on right here, which I'm going to do next. And then I will do the other side of the truck tomorrow. Alright guys, so I'm done with the driver's side. I'm now going to do the passenger side. This is kind of just going to be a repeat of the driver's side, so if you've gotten all the information you need off of this, you know, you can stop watching now. The only thing I'm going to do at the end is change out the relay right here. Pretty simple to do. I have my battery already disconnected and everything, and I'm just going to pull off all four of these posts. These 2 bolts are the only bolts that hold it on. That's it. Take it off, put the new one on, hook everything back up, put my batteries back up, and then I'm done. There's not really anything to take apart on this side like there is on the driver's side. It's a little bit easier to do. You will have to remove this bracket. You just kind of, it'll pull back out of the way. This is for your engine oil. And then there's one bolt that's pretty hard to get way back here in the back. But other than that, you don't have to take a whole lot of stuff off like your air intake or anything like that. You can just shimmy this out and it'll work its way off. And then everything's the same after that. You're just pulling the glow plugs out, replacing everything, cleaning everything up. Alright, got the passenger side cover off. It takes a little work to get it off. It gets stuck right back here. And you have to just really, you got to loosen up everything here. Just pull it out of the way, you don't have to take it off. And you just have to sit here and finagle it, and it comes out eventually. Just got to roll it. Don't jerk on it, don't roll, because it gets hit right here. You could probably take off this engine hook right here, the lift hook, and probably get it off just the same. That was going to be my next step if I couldn't get it out. But I was able to finagle it and get it out enough, so it's fine. Now it's going to be just like the other side. I'm going to start popping off all these little wires. See the wire right there? That's the wire going to the glow plug. You got your red one right here going to the glow plug. Alright, everything's going to be the exact same. I'm going to disconnect my wiring harnesses here and here, pull it out, change out all my glow plugs. If anything goes wrong, you know, same thing as on the other side. Nothing changes as far as that goes. And then I'll be putting everything back together and be completely done with it, hopefully. We'll see if anything goes wrong. So just to show you, all I do is I take my finger right in here in this loop and I pull up and it pops right off the glow plug, no problem. And then as far as these clips go, it's just a little metal clip here. That's all it is. So you pop it back, see the little metal spring is released, pull it off and go to the left, and it's now free. Okay, I found that if you try to come to the right side, this wire always gets in the way. So I've been going left on them and it's been working. Same thing here. Pop it, pull it out to the left, and it's free. So that's free, that's free, that's free. This last one right here, pull it out, go to the left, it's out. Now, I just take these off the same way. You lift up right here on your little tabs, and that allows you to pull it out. It's now off of there. Okay, same thing happens on the front. Lift up, pull it out of there. Now these things may fall off. I have extra ones if they do. If not, you know, I'm holding on to them right here, so it's not a problem. Now everything should be free, so I can pull out my wiring harness. As you see, it just comes right off. No issues, nothing. Everything's free. I'm gonna need 2 hands, so I'm gonna have to put down the camera. But this will be the next thing that I'm pulling off before I pull out all 4 of my glow plugs. Alrighty, so I got all the new glow plugs in. All of them came out pretty simple. No problems. I used the hose, everything just the same. Put the dielectric grease on them. Next thing will be putting on the wiring harness. Same way as the other side, nothing changes. Make sure I have it on the right direction, snap it in, and then I'll clean the cover and put it on, put all the bolts on. I'll be completely done. Then it's just firing it up. Well, actually, as I said earlier, the relay will be next, but I've kind of already talked about how to do that. So that's it. Hopes it helps. Hope you guys are able to do yours. Take care.